Hello everyone, and welcome to my fourth devlog. I've been working on quite a few things lately, and one of the things I've been working on is the gameplay mechanics for my game. So I'm going to show you what I have so far right now. So I have this timer that counts down, sets a timer for the spawning of the NPCs, and it's like a random value between like two values. I set them very small for testing purposes, but in the actual game, they'll probably be something like 30 seconds to a minute. Yeah, and so you have these NPCs come to the door and they knock, and you tell them to come in, and they do. Oh yeah, and one thing I've been working on, this is the head. I wanted to have the NPC looking at the player as the player turns around. Yeah, and their head also turns, as you can see here. But yeah, sometimes it's quite buggy and their head goes and like looks straight at like the floor or whatever. I'm gonna need to fix that. Yeah, and then you talk to them, have some dialogue, and then they go to their location. The door opens for them and then closes behind them. And then another NPC spawns. And here we have the same thing. I don't know why they start like that. No. Oh well. Yeah, and then they leave. Oh yeah, and then I think you also saw a command there, string command, that it's daytime now. Yeah. So that's the nighttime and daytime cycle. Okay, so how I did the turning is that I have a blank space that has like the idle in the middle, and then the animation playing on like either value side. And the input value is direction, and it's calculated here. This here's the values that actually turn the actual actor, and, then like in terms it gets like the current location and target location. Yeah, that has a turn, and then this information, this direction, is sent to the animation blueprint. Oh my god, where's my animation graph? Oh yeah, and then I plug in the direction value over here into the blend space. And so when an NPC is in the turn state, then they turn. And how they enter it is if they're not moving and the direction is a value that isn't 0. Yep, and then here I have the look at, which sends the location of the player to this bone. And the bone is told to like look at the direction of it, and that's what gets the head turning. And if there's a boolean here that is like should look, and if it should look, then the character, the animation goes through here. But if they shouldn't lock, then it just uses like random idle animations, and the head doesn't turn. So obviously the turning animations aren't perfect yet, but I think I'm happy with what I have so far, and it's time for me to move on. Another thing I've done is I started trying some cell shaders and applying them. This here shader here, I was trying to follow this tutorial called the physically based rendering tutorial on YouTube. You can easily find it. I'll probably put the link in the description. But yeah, it turned out quite different from what the guy had in the video. And the main problem I have is that you see these lines, they're like vibrating and shaking, and that bothers me. That it does not look good. And this here is another test level where I tried some like other shaders, and I do like this quite a lot better. But you see, we still have some problems with like the flashing. It kind of feels like it's flashing and vibrating, and that just isn't good. But I do kind of like the clouds, and I do like the cel shading on this character here. So we'll see. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get my like actual character models, my actual models finished, and start put them in a level, get everything set up, and then once I have the actual models done, I'll start fiddling around with the lighting and the shaders and all that. One of the things I've been working on lately is a new character NPC whose name is Kanasashi. And this character is supposed to be kind of this like foil, red herring for the player, because she's supposed to be a very like untrustworthy, very sly, kind of like aggressive, hostile. So like kind of like a hinged woman, like her behavior is very unconventional. And that's supposed to make the player not trust her and think that she's not human, even though she really is. So her background is that she's a young woman. She comes from a noble family. So here I did some research into the type of clothing she might have worn. And this is inspiration for her hairstyle. She's gonna have hair loopies, but also like long hair in the back because that was like the principal hairstyle in the Heian era, long hair. And yes, that's the reference board. And then I created her character in VRoid Studio. Yes, this is her hair, and I played around with the parameters to try and make her clothing look as close to these references as possible. So this program, VRoid Studio, doesn't allow you to create like the train that they have behind their clothing. So I think I'm gonna go for something more like this. Yeah, but I just like blocked out her clothing so far. So it has two layers. It has this like top coat and it has like this more kimono thing. So I'm gonna fake her having more layers, like how they have here, but I'm just gonna draw that on. In reality, she'll only have two different layers. And I've already like imported her into Studio Paint. So I'm ready to start painting her. Another thing I've made progress on is my Houdini HDA that is supposed to generate a Japanese Buddhist temple. So I've made progress on the roof. It still isn't perfect, but it's getting there. There's a bunch of like parameters I can change it with. Like change the roof tip height, roof width, the hip roof width. And also the size of the tiles. Yep. So I decided to like put a pause on the roof, start working on something else. And at some point during that process, this part of the roof kind of broke, so I'm gonna have to go back and fix that. But let's see. Oh yes, I started working on wall module. Yes, this is the wall module, and I want the user to be able to generate a bunch of different wall modules using this tool, and then copy and paste them on different parts of the wall of the Japanese temple HDA. So right now it has a few different parameters. For example, I want the user to be able to choose if they want there to be a window or not. And also if maybe they don't want any wall there at all, just like empty space, that will allow me to build stuff like belfries and just like buildings that have a roof but don't have any walls. Settings is the user can decide how many different planks they want. So for example, 3, 4, 0, and the user can adjust a bunch of different parameters. like the thickness, the depth. So there's a lot of customization there. And in regards to the window, let's go turn it on. Yeah, I haven't added the window to the control yet. They can control the window width. They can control which plank is the top plank, and which plank is the bottom plank. Yeah, so lots of different variety to be had there.